Okay, so let's open this up. Okay, so hi students. So today we are going to be using prior knowledge, our prior knowledge to solve some example problems. So these problems are on volume. So this is what we have been talking about during the past classes we have. So using our prior knowledge, like we've learned. So this is a cylinder. So this is the formula to find the volume of a cylinder. So we know a cylinder is it has two circles and two rounded sides. So the formula to find the cylinder is pi r squared h. So pi is the pi symbol, so we know that. So the r is the radius. So we know that here across the cylinder, the surface of the cylinder is here. So this is a diameter, but we know that using our prior knowledge that the radius is half of the diameter. And then the h is the height. So this is the height. So the next shape we have been learning about is the cone. So we know we usually see cones out in the real world, like an ice cream cone, you know. And this is a circle with a vertex right here. So the formula to find the volume of a cone is 1/3 pi radius squared times the height. So we know that here we're going to find, so this is the diameter and half of the diameter is the radius. So that's where we're going to find, that's where we're going to get r from. And then the height is from here to here, from the vertex to the bottom. Okay, so the last shape we have been learning about is the sphere. So we usually see spheres around in the real world, soccer balls, you know, basketballs, any type of ball. And the formula to find the volume of a sphere is 4/3 pi radius third to the third cubed. So we know all we need to know to find the volume is the radius. And we know that the radius is right up here, so it's half the diameter. Okay, so now we're gonna do practice problems. So let me get this. So like I've said before, the formula to find the volume of a sphere is V equals 4/3 times pi radius cubed. Okay, so we know that. Yeah, it's using our prior knowledge. So now, like I've said, in this picture, we are giving the diameter. But we know that half of the diameter is the radius. So we just plug in. So 12, what's half of 12? We know half of 12 is 6. So now we would just plug it in the formula. So it would be 4/3 pi. The radius is 6. So we do parentheses just to separate it. Parentheses to the third, to the cube root. Okay, so now we would get our calculators out. Okay, so I'll give you a chance to calculate this. So using your calculator I'll give you some time to solve this problem while I get my calculator out. So 4/3 times pi times 6 cubed would be, what did you guys get? So what we would get would be, so we would keep it in pi. So in terms of pi, we know that in terms of pi, we don't multiply the pi, okay? We just keep the pi. We multiply the 4/3 times the 6 cubed. So it would be 288 pi. So that's the volume of this sphere. So, like I said, our answers are going to be in terms of pi. We've talked about this in prior classes, that in terms of pi, basically, like I said, is just ignoring that there's a pi, but remember there's a pi. We always have to remember there's a pi, because at the end in our answer, we have to integrate it. So like here, we did 4/3, 6 to the cube root, we multiply those, and then we get 288, and then we just bring down the pi. Okay, so next problem. Okay, so in this one, we have a cone. So now let's do this. So we know that the formula to find the volume of a cone is 1/3 pi radius squared times the height. So in this picture, we're giving the radius of 4. So we would just plug that in as we normally do. So 1/3 pi. And then the radius, like we said, is 4. So we would do 4 squared. And we would put it in parentheses so we don't get it mixed up. Times the height. So here we know the height we are giving is 8. So now I'll give you guys some time to solve and find the answer. So remember, we're keeping it in terms of pi. So we just multiply the numbers and we ignore the pi, but remember, we bring it down. Okay, so I'll give you time. So let's do this one. 1 times pi 4 squared times 8. So we get 3. So we get 28, sorry, over 3 in pi. Okay. So here, like I said, we are the formula to find the volume of a cone is 1/3 times pi times radius squared times height. So in this picture, we are giving the radius. The radius is 4 squared. And we are giving the height. The height is 8. We are giving our answer in terms of pi, so we ignore the pi that's here in the formula, but we remember that at the end, we have to integrate it into our answer. So we do that and we get 128 over 3 pi, okay? So let's do this last problem. And this last problem is a cylinder. So to find the cylinder, we know the volume is radius squared pi. Well, let's erase this. Oh my god. Sorry. Some technical problems here. Okay, let's erase this. Okay, so we know that it would be pi radius squared times h. So that's the formula to find the cylinder. So in this picture, we're giving the diameter, but using our prior knowledge from what we have been learning during this lesson, but not only from this lesson, but from the past classes that we've had, that we get the radius by dividing this by 2, by the half. So what's the half of 18. So we know the half of 18 is 9. So we would just normally, we would plug it in. So we get pi. We said the radius is 9. So it'll be 9 squared times height. So in this one, we're giving the height is 10. So we would just plug in the 10. We have nothing to do. We don't have to divide it by 2 because the height, it really doesn't matter. Okay, so remember we have to keep our answer in terms of pi. So we just bring the pi down. Okay, so I'll give you time to figure out what the answer is while I figure this out myself. Okay, so I give you some time. So we get 810 pi. So that would be the volume of the cylinder in this picture. So like I said, we've using a lot of our prior knowledge, what we've learned during the past classes to solve these problems. And this is basically what we're going to do in our web quiz. So at the end, there's going to be a project you guys are going to be able to do. You guys are going to be building a robot or doll, whatever you want, using some objects you have at home, and you're gonna find the volume of the robot. So remember, we have to use our prior knowledge in order to find the volume. So all you have to know are the formulas, but these formulas would be given to you in a formula sheet. But this is just to review and to make it easier for you when you have to be finding the volume of your object. But that would be all for this class, and thank you.